This week on Sports Paws, the Quinnipiac volleyball team visits the Fieldhouse for their biggest game ever, an NCAA tournament bout with number 1 Wisconsin. Is a Christmas miracle in store for the MAC champs?
And winter came early to the M&T Bank Arena. St. Lawrence saw nothing but white against the men's ice hockey team.
Plus, the weather outside is frightful, but Lender Court is delightful as MAC play begins for men's basketball.
All this and more in a holiday-themed edition of Sports Paws, which starts right now. Welcome inside Studio 125 for another episode of Sports Paws, our final episode of the fall semester. I'm Ethan Logue.
And I'm Emily Sweeney. We have an episode full of holiday cheer tonight with NCAA tournament games, holiday hoops, and so much more. So let's get started with the women's volleyball team's first ever NCAA appearance. A clash of conference champions as Quinnipiac comes in the NCAA tournament out of the MAC, going up against Big Ten champion Wisconsin. Robinson winless against Big Ten opponents in his career at Quinnipiac. Bucky the Badger firing up the crowd as we get into the first set of action. Although the Bobcats are the underdogs, a big spike by Lexi Morse gets a point for them. And then we'll go later on in the first 6-foot. Anna Smrek takes matters into her own hands, gets Wisconsin a point in the game. Still in the first Turkey special, Yamir Ganesh getting a kill for the Bobcats. Then we'll move on into the second set. Badgers woke up as All-American Devin Robinson gets the kill there, welcoming the Bobcats to the Big Ten. Sarah Franklin joined in another slam for the Badgers, and we'll move into the third set of action. The Bobcats are down 2-0. Nicole Legg with a powerful kill for the Bobcats. The Badgers were just getting started as Jade Demps fires one into the back corner. Wisconsin leads the third set, and then following Demps's kill, we'll see Caroline Crawford who taps one over the net to secure the victory for Wisconsin. They will win the game. The Bobcats gave a valiant effort, but Wisconsin will advance 3-0 and move on to the next part of the NCAA tournament. Now that you've seen the highlights, let's go to volleyball beat reporter Haley Wynn with more on this NCAA matchup.
Dancing in December, the Quinnipiac Bobcats took a trip all the way here to the UW Fieldhouse for the women's volleyball NCAA tournament. They tried to secure their spot in round 2, however, that was not the case. The Badgers swept 3-0. Nicole Legg has some things to say about the crowd here.
But I think together playing in that environment was just something that was a really cool experience to be a part of. And, no matter if they were cheering for us or cheering for Wisconsin, we just use it as fuel for our fire.
With their historic run coming to an end, Coach Kyle Robinson has some things to say about their future.
Committed to ourselves and the program since the middle of July. What month are we in? I don't even know. So what's that, 6 months, 7 months, excuse me? Yeah, it's time to just find the balance and be a little bit social and a little bit free for a little bit. Focus hard on their academics because we have pretty high standards, as you know, on that. But we will take a nice break from volleyball for a few months.
Haley Wynn reporting for Q3 Sports.
With the Bobcat season now in the books, let's take a look at how the rest of Quinnipiac's bracket shaped up. And as you can see on your screen right here, the top seed in the region, the Wisconsin Badgers, will take on Penn State. The winner will advance to the quarterfinals and will play the winner of Florida versus Pitt. It was business as usual for everyone in Quinnipiac's side of the bracket except for Washington, who was upset by TCU. Wisconsin will face Penn State Thursday at 6. Now staying on the hardwood, but switching sports, the Quinnipiac men's basketball team opened up MAC conference play yesterday against the Niagara Purple Eagles. Could the Bobcats stay on the prowl, or did the Purple Eagles take flight? Let's find out. Quinnipiac looking to bounce back after the team suffered their first loss of the year last week against Hofstra in Quebec. And they will look to pick up their first MAC conference win of the season in a game against the Niagara Purple Eagles. Let's get right into it. Graduate student forward Ike Noweke gets the ball and drains the three-pointer to give the Bobcats an early 5-2 lead. And then later on, with just under 8 minutes remaining in the half, junior guard Desi Jones gets a defender jumping and converts a tough floater to put Quinnipiac up 1. Then later on, graduate student guard Tyrese Williams misses the pull-up mid-range, but Nweke fights on the offensive glass and gets the layup to give QU a 1-point lead. Now transitioning into the second half, where senior guard Noah Thomason catches fire, scores 14 points in the second half with this layup that puts the Purple Eagles up 9 with just under 7 to go. And then a minute later, Jones dribbles to the left wing and drains a three-pointer to bring the Bobcats deficit to 4. Bobcats trying to fight back. With 2:13 remaining in the game, junior guard Lance Irving splashes a clutch three to bring the Purple Eagles lead back up to 4. And then later on, with just 55 seconds left, the Bobcats found themselves down 2. And junior guard Luis Courtright has a chance to tie it, but he misses the first free throw. And then as you see, we speed it up. He proceeds to miss the second one too. Bobcats shot 6 for 15 from the charity stripe and fall to the Purple Eagles by a final score of 64-60. After falling to the Purple Eagles, let's see where the Bobcats line up in the MAC standings. Now, it may be strange to see the Bobcats in 9th in this week's MAC standings, especially since they sit at an impressive 7-2 record. But that's the current reality. The main reason why the Bobcats are so low in the standings is due to their conference record, which is currently 0-1 at the moment. Iona, Siena, and Manhattan are the top 3 teams in the conference at the moment, all of which are currently undefeated in conference play. QU plays Holy Cross on Wednesday.
From men's to women's, let's see how Coach Trisha Fabry's squad fared against the St. Francis Brooklyn Terriers. Bobcats looking to stay perfect at home as they take on the Terriers in this matchup. So let's get into this game here. You see them lining up, getting ready for the game. Let's get into the first quarter. Just over a minute into the game, Rose Caverly kicks it to Curtiera Haywood, and she's going to get the 3 for the Bobcats. Couple of minutes later, Sarah Bandoma, who had a day, drives past and gets a bucket for the Terriers. To close out the first 10 minutes, Myers crosses up and gets a shot. The Terriers will go into the second quarter with a 12-7 lead. Now let's get into the second. Myers right back at it as she gets a ball in the corner and hits a 3 for the Terriers, keep them rolling. Caverly then brings up the ball for the Bobcats, passes it over, and a 3-pointer will be made. Bobcats having a strong quarter, starting to hit their shots, so we'll get into the third quarter of action. Some ball movement along the perimeter. Mackenzie Helms is in the corner, and she's going to hit the 3 for the Bobcats. Terriers trying to get a last shot here. Myers kicks it out for a 3. Off the same inbound play, Terriers force a last-second shot, trying to bring it back, but the Bobcats will move on 3-0 as it gets denied. Now we'll move on into the fourth quarter. Get into this fourth quarter of action. The Bobcats trying to pass it around the perimeter. It's going to be a bucket as they will move on to start taking the lead. We'll keep going. Another play here. You see another close bucket there. The Bobcats starting to hit their stride. And then it's going to force make a move, and then the Bobcats move to 3-0 at their home court and 4-3 overall as they look to have a strong performance on Wednesday. With a win in the books and holidays coming up, let's see where the Bobcats stand. It looks like the Bobcats are at the top of the nice list going into the MAC as they sit in the top spot with a 4-3 record. Head coach Trisha Fabry's squad is standing tall with a recent and close game victory over the St. Francis Brooklyn Terriers yesterday. Bobcats are then followed in the MAC standings by Iona, who is 3-3, Siena, whose record is 4-4, and Fairfield, who has a 3-4 record to round out the top 4 teams in the MAC. In the bottom 3 spots of the MAC standings, you will find Manhattan, Niagara, and currently in last place, St. Peter's. Now dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh, let's ride over to basketball as we have beat reporter Nick Boyd with Holiday Hoops.
Thanks, guys. Looks real warm in there. You've seen where and how the Bobcats have been performing. What I'm going to do out here is break down some of the key contributors behind that. And it's the holiday season, so gift giving is pretty big on everyone's minds. And the biggest gift givers for these teams have been their assist leaders. We're going to start with the men's. Their assist leader has been Savion Lewis through the first 9 games of the season. He's the senior guard with 33 assists on the year. He put up a season-high 7 against CCSU on November 13th. Right behind him is Louis Courtright with 31 on the year. He also recorded a season-high 7 against Dartmouth on November 15th. We'll flip over to the women's side, and it's no surprise who's here. Rose Caverly. She logged back-to-back seasons with 100-plus assists, and she's on pace for that again with 28 on the year so far. That's good for an average of about 4 a game. She also got into the festive spirit with a season high 8 assists against Lehigh down at the Christmas City Classic in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. We've also got some Grinches on these teams. Some guys are going to get you steals night in and night out. The leaders for the men's have been Louis Courtwright, as we just mentioned. He's got 15 steals on the year. That's good for 1.7 a game, and he's logged 4 games with multiple steals, including a 5-steal performance in the season opener against the University of Rhode Island. Desi Jones is right behind him with 14 on the year. That's good for $1.50 a game. He has 5 multi-steal games on the year, and he's logged 2 in the last 2 games against Hofstra and Niagara, so a bit of a defensive streak for him. For the women, Rose Caverly at the top again with 8 steals on the season so far. She's had 2 swipes in her last 2 games against Lehigh and St. Francis Brooklyn. Right behind her is Kurtiera Haywood, the forward, who's second on the team with 7. She has been consistently picking opponents' pockets on the year. She's not going to go out and get you 5 steals a game, but she has been consistently getting at least 1 for all but 1 of her games this season. And it's getting real cold out here. Nothing's better on a winter night than a nice warm fire, and nothing's better for a basketball team than nice hot shooters. For the men, Tyrese Williams has been the hottest guy on Baker Dunleavy's arsenal going in so far. I know Desi Jones has 3 straight 10-plus point performances, but Tyrese Williams has been on another level. He dropped 14 off the bench versus Hofstra up at Quebec on 5 of 8 shooting, 4 for 6 from 3, and then he one-upped himself and scored a season-high 18 at home against Niagara. He's been really stepping up in the midst of some cold spells from Matt Belanc and Taimu Chenery. For the women's, Rose Caverly. This has become the Rose Caverly Power Hour. She had double-digit point totals in her last 2, 10 against Lehigh down at Bethlehem, and 15 yesterday against St. Francis Brooklyn. She's been heating up as a scorer the past few games. She had a cold scoring start to the season. Those shots weren't quite falling, and she was focusing more on distributing the ball. But the past few games, she's been taking a lot more shots, and those shots have been falling. Looking ahead to December, there's some big games coming up for the Bobcats. They've been scuffling. The men's team's been scuffling, and the women's team had a rough win. So that's all from me out here. It is getting cold. I need a hot chocolate. Ethan, Emily, take the reins.
With holiday hoops under wraps, it's time for our first break of the night.
When we come back, we will hit the ice and talk all things Quinnipiac men's and women's ice hockey. We'll be right back.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies. Selfies, nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's put a ride home.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. It's here. It's here. Wait. What? I can't drive. Why? My. Oh.
Welcome back inside Studio 125. We thank you for staying with us on this fine Monday night. Let's head to the ice. The Quinnipiac men's ice hockey team welcomed the St. Lawrence Saints to Hamden for a rematch of last year's ECAC hockey quarterfinal matchup. Let's see who came out on top. So winner whiteout at M&T Bank Arena. Quinnipiac and ECAC hockey against St. Lawrence. Fans are getting ready for this tough conference matchup. See, as I mentioned, all white for the fans in Hamden. And Saints graduate goaltender Emil Zetterquist takes his warm-ups as we get underway in Hamden. Not much action in the first, so let's go straight to the second period. On a 5-on-3 opportunity, Colin Graff's shot is stopped by Zetterquist, but the rebound is kicked out to Sam Lipkin, who scores his third of the year. Then a little later on in the same period, the Saints tie the game off a Bobcat turnover. Greg LaPointe going 5-hole on goaltender Yanni Peretz for his first goal of the season to tie the game up at 1. And then just 90 seconds later on another power play, Graff finds Lipkin again. The shot is deflected by Skylar Brindamore into the net to give Quinnipiac a 2-1 lead. That goal would be enough. Quinnipiac takes this matchup 2-1.
After the victory against St. Lawrence, the Bobcats came back the next day to take on Clarkson. Let's see how they did. Quinnipiac looks to stay undefeated in ECAC play as they took on the Clarkson Golden Knights. Let's skate right into the first. You see the teams getting ready to take the ice here as we're going to get way into the first period of action. After a few shots get saved, it sets up CJ McGee with the first goal of the game. Quinnipiac will take a 1-0 lead. Now following a goal by Brady Egan, Ryan Richardson crowds the net until he finally gets one to the back, and that'll be 2-1 Clarkson in the lead. Now still in the first, initial shot from Zach Metza. It's going to hit off the stick of Ethan DeYoung and into the back of the net right here, but that's going to be waved off due to a high stick, so it will remain 2-1 Clarkson in the lead. Now we'll go to the second period of action. Clarkson's up by 1 entering the second period, but the Bobcats offense comes roaring back. Sam Lipkin passes it out to Quillen. He's going to give it to Colin Graff for an open look into goal for the Bobcats. This game will be tied 2-2. Later in the second, it's the Bobcats once again on the attack. You'll see Quillen. He's going to try for an initial shot, but an easy save by the goaltender. The Bobcats get the puck back, and Jake Johnson slides it through the 5-hole for a goal for the Bobcats. Quinnipiac up 3-2. Then we'll move on to the third period. Following goals from Joey Cipollone and Skylar Brindamore, the Golden Knights find themselves down by 3 until Noah Beck capitalizes on an opportunity with this snipe. 5-3, Quinnipiac in the lead, but the late offense from Clarkson will prove to be a little late as the Bobcats take down the Golden Knights 6-3 and remain undefeated in their conference play.
For the second straight year, a member of the Quinnipiac men's ice hockey team has found themselves representing the United States at the World Juniors Tournament. Last year, former Bobcat Tyson Milonic represented the United States at the World Juniors Tournament. This year, it's first-year forward Sam Lipkin repping the Stars and Stripes. The Arizona Coyotes draft pick has registered 12 points in 16 games. He will join QU head coach Rand Pecknold, who is the head coach for the U.S. in Canada. The World Juniors will take place between December 26th and January 5th.
Earlier, we saw women's basketball make the nice list in their standings, but how did the men's hockey team fare in the USCHO polls after this week? It looks like these 12-1-3 Bobcats also made the nice list this week, being ranked second in the USCHO polls and receiving 12 first-place votes. This is just behind Denver, who is 12-4-0 with 29 first-place votes. Now rounding out the top 5 teams, Minnesota takes third with 6 first-place votes, St. Cloud takes fourth with 3 first-place votes, and Penn State takes the 5th spot in the polls.
A former Quinnipiac women's ice hockey player is making headlines at the professional level this week. Former goaltender Corinne Schroeder, last year's star for the Quinnipiac women's ice hockey team, has been named Player of the Month for the Premier Hockey Federation. Schroeder, who plays for the Boston Pride, won all 5 games she started in the month of November and had 3 straight shutouts to start the month. Schroeder currently has a goals against average of 1.69 and an incredible save percentage of .953, which, simply put, is incredible. Now transitioning from last year's Bobcats to this year's, QU hit the road and traveled to Schenectady, New York for a matchup against Union. Let's see how they fared. It was yet another dominating shutout win for the Bobcats, their 8th shutout of the season already. Mylabad stayed hot, scoring twice, and QU also saw goals from Kendall Cooper, Sophie Urban, and Shea Maloney. Logan Angers earned her 5th shutout of the season, and the Bobcats improved to 15-1 on the season.
We'll stick with the ice and keep this winter wonderland rolling as we move on to women's hockey's game against RPI. The Bobcats traveled to RPI for an in-conference game against the Engineers. Katie Boudiette tallied her 4th shutout of the season in this game as the Bobcats defeated RPI 3-0 and extended their winning streak to 7. Madison Chandler scored the first goal of the game, followed by Veronica Bach giving the Bobcats another goal in the second period, and then Olivia Mobley sealed the victory with an empty net goal at the end of the third. Bobcats will travel to Providence this weekend for more action. With a weekend sweep, let's see if yet another Bobcats team can make the nice list based on the USCHO polls. Looking at the polls, another Bobcats team has been able to make this nice list as the women's ice hockey team is ranked 3rd in the USCHO polls with a 16-1-0 record. This is 1 spot higher for the Bobcats than last week when they were in 4th. The Bobcats also received 4 first-place votes. Ahead of the Bobcats are Ohio State in 1st place with 9 first-place votes and Wisconsin in 2nd with 7 first-place votes. Rounding out the top 5 are Yale in 4th and Colgate in 5th. It's time for the second break of the night, but your holiday episode is not over yet. We still have so much in store.
We'll be talking some Quinnipiac track and field, a special cancer awareness package, and not a top 5, but a top 10 plays of the semester, all when we return.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a unique mix of all kinds of things.
Come on, Joel, spotlight on this last one. There it is. Keep going with it. Leo.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
I know what you're thinking. I need a job.
I need a new career.
Well, I've been there.
I've been there.
I've been there. I wasn't happy with what I was doing.
After high school, I didn't have a plan.
I just wanted to start working.
I got laid off twice, but you gotta keep going.
You just need the right skills. Find an apprenticeship.
I found a 2-year IT program.
I found a medical course online.
I'm now a consultant in the tech space.
You have more options than you think. You can do this.
You will find something.
You will find something new.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made home ownership happen. Homeschooling yourself on loans, beefing up your credit score.
So I'm pre-approved.
You were like, yes! Sorry. Color coding listings, ticking boxes, and flushing every toilet in a 20-mile radius. Home sweet home. You aced House Hunter. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Welcome back, and thanks for sticking with us during this most wonderful time of the year. Presents are flowing, and this doesn't just happen on Christmas for some Bobcats, but also when the 2022 NCAA Division I All-Americans are announced. On the 4th day of Christmas, the Bobcats gave their fans 4 MAC championships and an All-American athlete. The NCAA announced their 46 Division I Women's Soccer All-Americans, and on that list, Bobcat Rebecca Cook was recognized. Her teammates Olivia Scott and Kayla Mingachos also made All-Atlantic Region 3rd team. Cook led the nation in goals, recording 22 goals over the 19 games played in 2022, and helped lead the Bobcats to their first ever MAC title. Rebecca Cook and the other All-Americans will be recognized at the United Soccer Coaches All-America ceremony and reception on January 14th.
The Quinnipiac track and field team traveled up to Boston for a meet at Boston University over the weekend. The 4x4 team for the Bobcats stole the show in Boston, winning with a time of 3 minutes and 54 seconds, which was over a second quicker than the second place team. Sydney Lavelle also posted an impressive time in the 60-meter hurdles with a time of 9.17, which was good for 4th overall. Michelle Tata also placed in the top 5 of the 200-meter dash with a time of 26.13 seconds. And the Bobcats' next meet will be at Yale on Saturday. Now, November is Hockey Fights Cancer Month in the NHL, and men's ice hockey beat reporter Matthew Mugno took to the quad to talk to Quinnipiac students on why raising awareness and funds is so important to them.
Cancer touches the lives of so many people. The month of November designated to No Shave November and Hockey Fights Cancer, an initiative created in 1998 by the National Hockey League to raise cancer awareness funds.
NHL superstar Austin Matthews is a major donator to No Shave November and wore skates this season that had the title on them. And for myself, I even grew out my mustache for No Shave November in honor of my father's battle with cancer in 2019. I sought to survey the QU community for whom they fight for.
Auntie Marianne, who died of cancer, I think like 6 or 7 years ago.
I fight for my grandma.
My Uncle Steven, I think a few years ago, we nearly lost him to cancer, but then he kind of started fighting back and made a good comeback, and it's not completely gone yet, but he's pushed through.
My grandfather, he just got esophageal cancer, so we fighting for him.
And I've been in a lot of events. Personally, I haven't had to touch my family too much, but I've seen what it does to others, and I think obviously it's probably one of the worst things that can occur in one's life, so I think it's probably best for everyone to fight in this fight together and kind of just, help each other out, because this is kind of the worst thing that can happen to someone.
I fight for my aunt who went through breast cancer and someone close to my family who has prostate cancer.
It means that we're one step closer to finding the cure and that people won't have to go through what she and many others went through.
Some people are affected by it if you're not personally, you know people that are, and so it sucks, and it's anything you can do to help raise awareness and help raise money is obviously huge.
Well, obviously it's important that everybody contributes to that. I lost my father to cancer, so. But I thought the point was really good. He had a goal tonight. I know he's had a tough go of it. He's an outstanding player, and he's still got a little ways to come back. I will say this about him too. I think he has 5 career goals. They might all be against Quinnipiac, literally. If you guys want to look that up, I think they're all against us.
4 of his 5.
Oh, 4 of his 5. It's unbelievable. He's just a machine against us. So we got to do a better job of shutting him down. But I give him credit. He's battling, and we wish him all the best.
To make a donation, go to www.nhl.com/community/hockeyfightscancer. Reporting for Q30 Sports, I'm Matthew Mugno.
It might not be the 12 days of Christmas, but it's time for our version of that Christmas classic. It's time for the top 10 plays of the semester.
Let's get this party started, Emily.
All right, so let's get straight into it with play number 10. Field hockey versus Georgetown. You'll see Nina Santor, Quinnipiac's field hockey goalie, making this amazing diving save against the rush of 2 Hoyas. Bobcats end up winning 3-1.
Now heading on to play number 9, women's soccer versus Niagara. Rebecca Cook charges in for the header, and after being denied once, she goes around the Niagara goalie for the goal. Quinnipiac wins this game 4-0 and wins their first ever MAC title.
Play 8 will go to men's soccer versus Iona. Another MAC championship. This time it's Tomas Fekula off a pass from Alexander Sterngard, ripping one past the Iona goalie there. That's another MAC title brought to Hamden as the Bobcats win 3-2.
Play number 7, women's basketball versus Central Connecticut. Mackenzie Helms fires a pass way across the court to Ella O'Donnell, who finishes with a sweet shot. First win of the season for the Bobcats, 72-54.
Play 6, volleyball versus Fairfield. Ariana Diaz gets set up for a kill, but fakes it past all the Fairfield defenders. The Bobcats bring it home 3-1.
Play number 5, men's basketball versus Dartmouth. Ike Noweke goes up for a nasty slam off a long pass. Another home win for the Bobcats, this time 81-72.
Play number 4, women's hockey versus BC. You see Madison Chandler, the star forward, dragging her defender and gets it past for a goal for the Bobcats. Quinnipiac wins 5-0.
Play number 3, it's the Battle of Whitney Ave. Colin Graff goes top shelf far side and puts the biscuit in the basket. Bobcats win this one 4-0.
Play 2, men's soccer versus Stonehill. A pass from Jared Smith sets up this amazing Sam McCann goal. 7-2 win for Quinnipiac.
And the top play of the semester, women's hockey versus UConn in the Nutmeg Classic Championship. Maya Labad drags her past her defender and buries it into the back of the net. Quinnipiac wins that one 1-0. Well, that wraps up this semester of Sports Paws.
Be sure to stay up to date with all Quinnipiac sports content at Q30TV.com, and be sure to follow us on Twitter at Q30Sports so you don't miss anything over the winter break. Classes may be on a break, but Quinnipiac sports are not, so make sure to also download the Q30 app, which is available on the App Store and Google Play.
For the producers, everyone working hard behind the scenes, and for my co-host Emily Sweeney, I'm Ethan Logue, wishing you a safe and happy holidays, everyone.